Climate change. What has happened to climate and nature since the lockdown? We've been in lockdown now since the 23rd of March, that is 55 days, and the effects on the climate have been amazing. Firstly visible from space, but now apparent especially to all those who live in cities. First China, then Italy, now the UK, Germany and dozens of other countries are experiencing temporary falls in carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide of as much as 40%, greatly improving our air quality and reducing the risks of asthma, heart attacks and lung disease. Air traffic halved by mid-March compared with the same time last year. In only 1 month, road traffic fell in the UK by more than 70%. Seismologists report lower vibrations from cultural noise than before the pandemic. In China, the world's biggest source of carbon, emissions were down 18% between early February and mid-March, a cut of 250 million tonnes, equivalent to more than half the UK's annual output. Europe is forecast to see a reduction of around 390 million tonnes. Significant falls can also be expected in the US, where passenger vehicle traffic, its major source of CO2, has fallen by nearly 40%. With fewer drivers on the roads and planes in the air, the price of oil has slumped almost 2/3 since last year. Car sales fell by 44% in March, with motorway traffic down 83%. So many more people are learning to teleconference from home that the head of the AA, the Automobile Association in the UK, advised the government to switch infrastructure investment from building new roads to widening internet bandwidth. This year will almost certainly see a much lower toll of roadkill by cars and trucks, which in the UK alone annually takes the lives of about 100,000 hedgehogs, 30,000 deer, 500,000 badgers and 100,000 foxes, as well as barn owls and many other species of bird and insect. Many councils have delayed cutting the grass on roadside verges, one of the last remaining habitats for wildflowers, which should bring a riot of colour to the countryside this summer and provide more pollen for bees. In Wales, peacocks have been strutting through Bangor, goats through Llandudno, and sheep have been filmed on roundabouts in a deserted playground in Monmouthshire. While the human toll mounted horrendously from a single case in Wuhan to a global pandemic, nature, it seems, has been increasingly able to breathe more easily and is healing itself. Poorer countries, on the other hand, especially in the southern hemisphere, fear an increased threat to wildlife because the pandemic means they have less money and personnel with which to conserve endangered species and habitats. In the Amazon rainforest, environmental authorities are reining in monitoring and protection operations. In the Masai Mara and Serengeti, nature reserves are taking less tourist revenue, which means they're struggling to pay rangers. Conservation groups fear this will open the door to more illegal poaching, mining and logging, especially now that local people are losing income and need new ways to feed their families. Of new infectious diseases, 75% come from animals, according to the United Nations Environmental Programme. China, the world's biggest market for wild animals, appears to have recognised this by banning the farming and consumption of live wildlife. There are growing calls for a global ban on wet markets. Another encouraging step forward is that the hole in the ozone layer is repairing itself, according to reports published in March of this year. In the late 1980s, ozone depletion was driving southern air currents further south, causing a change in rainfall patterns and ocean currents. Now, new satellite observations and climate simulations, shared in a Science Daily research paper on Wednesday the 26th of March, show that the changed wind patterns had led to the ozone layer's recovery, according to Antara Banerjee of the University of Colorado Boulder and her colleagues. I've seen many Facebook posts from people re-evaluating what is actually important in their lives and how they want to remember that when it all goes back to normal, in inverted commas. Certainly in the short term, people are rethinking their priorities in life. Let's sing our third hymn now, All I Once Held Dear.